Okay, so you've been looking into the Kava network. And, well, let's be honest, figuring out these layer one blockchains can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming, right?
Definitely. There's a lot out there.
So think of this as your shortcut, your express route to getting the big picture on Kava. We're just going to dive straight in. What is this thing, and why are people in Web3 talking about it?
Exactly. Kava is fundamentally a layer one blockchain, but it's got this really unique twist.
Which is?
It's built to essentially combine the strengths of two major blockchain ecosystems, Ethereum and Cosmos, all at the same time.
Okay, interesting. So our mission for this deep dive, using the material you shared, is really to unpack what makes Kava different. Why should someone interested in, the future of Web3 care about this specific network?
Precisely. It's all about understanding its architecture and its purpose in this evolving space. The sources give us a good foundation for that.
All right, let's jump into that main point then, this co-chain architecture.
Hmm.
The info you sent really hammers home that Kava wants to empower Web3 developers. How does this dual chain setup actually achieve that differently than, say, other blockchains?
Well, the core idea, the real innovation here, is this co-chain design. Instead of making developers pick a side, either the established Ethereum world or the interconnected Cosmos ecosystem, Kava integrates both.
Ah, okay.
And that immediately tackles a big hurdle in blockchain. How separate these networks often feel. Siloed, basically.
Right, breaking down those walls. The sources used that analogy, didn't they? Like two hemispheres of a brain, working separately but connected.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to picture it.
So can you explain how these two hemispheres, the Ethereum cochain and the Cosmos cochain, work? What do they do on their own? And crucially, how do they link up to help developers?
Okay, so take the Ethereum cochain first. That's one side. Its main job is to be fully compatible with the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM.
Right, the EVM, super common.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's huge because it means all those developers who already know Solidity, Ethereum's main language, can bring their existing dApps, their decentralized applications, straight over to Kava.
Without a total rewrite.
Pretty much. They can deploy on Kava and immediately tap into its scalability and security features. It just makes it much easier for them to try out a new network's benefits. Less friction.
That's definitely a big plus for getting existing projects on board. Okay, so what about the other side, the Cosmos cochain? What's its unique contribution?
The Cosmos cochain brings a different but equally powerful set of tools. It's built using the Cosmos SDK, so it's designed for high scalability and security from the get-go.
And the connection part.
Right. Crucially, it uses the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol, IBC. This plugs Kava directly into that whole huge Cosmos ecosystem.
Which is pretty big, right?
Oh, yeah. We're talking seamless connection to, over 35 other blockchains. And access to a massive pool of assets. The sources mentioned something like over $60 billion flowing through IBC.
Oh, okay.
So for developers on Kava, this opens up this vast landscape of users, assets, functionalities they just wouldn't get on a standalone EVM chain.
That interconnection sounds powerful. But wait, if you have these two distinct chains, effectively speaking different technical languages, EVM on one side, Cosmos SDK on the other, how do they actually talk? How do they share things? That's where this translator module fits in, I assume.
Absolutely, you nailed it. The translator module is the linchpin. It's the bridge between the two cochains.
The interpreter.
Kind of, yeah. It facilitates the smooth transfer of assets, data, whatever, between that EVM environment and the Cosmos environment. And the really cool part,
Go on.
it gives developers freedom. They can build in the environment they prefer. Maybe they love the EVM's tooling, or maybe they want the Cosmos SDK's modularity, but they're not cut off from the users or the value on the other chain.
I see. So it really breaks down the silos we mentioned, offers genuine flexibility.
Exactly. It's aiming for unprecedented flexibility in the blockchain world.
Okay, that sounds like it could seriously streamline things and, unlock some new ideas. Let's peek under the hood a bit more. The sources say Kava is built using the Cosmos SDK and uses Tendermint core. What are those exactly? Why are they important for how Kava works?
Sure. So the Cosmos SDK, think of it like a developer's toolkit. It's an open source framework that just makes building proof-of-stake blockchains way easier and faster.
Like Lego bricks for blockchains?
Sort of, yeah. It gives developers pre-built modules, standardized parts. This speeds up development and also helps ensure things built with it can talk to each other within the Cosmos ecosystem. And Tendermint core, that's the engine powering many of these SDK chains, including Kava. It's the consensus engine.
Consensus engine, okay. And the documents called it lightning fast and Byzantine fault tolerant. What does that actually mean for someone using Kava?
Right. So Tendermint core is designed specifically for proof of stake, and it's known for being efficient. Byzantine fault tolerant. or BFT, is key for security. It means the network can keep running correctly and agree on transactions, even if some of the validators that computers confirming transactions are down, or worse, trying to cheat the system. Up to a certain limit, of course.
So it's resilient against bad actors or failures.
Exactly. Built-in resilience. And the lightning fast part refers to how quickly transactions get confirmed and become final. Once it's in, it's almost certainly staying in, high certainty fast.
Gotcha. And the modularity of the SDK you mentioned.
Yeah, that's important too. It means Kava can relatively easily add new features developed by the wider Cosmos community. Like that IBC integration back in early 2022, that was a module they plugged in, instantly connecting Kava to dozens of other chains. It allows for adaptation and growth.
Okay, so the foundation sounds really solid, adaptable. Let's shift to the Kava token itself. It's called the network's engine, right? Powering security, governance, incentives. Let's break those down. First up, security. How does Kava help keep the network safe?
Right, security. Kava uses proof of stake, as we mentioned. The top 100 nodes, the computers running the network, become validators by locking up or staking a bunch of Kava tokens.
Putting skin in the game.
Precisely. These validators propose new blocks, check transactions. For doing this work, securing the network, they earn rewards, more Kava tokens, plus transaction fees.
Okay. Standard proof of stake rewards.
But there's a stick as well as the carrot. If a validator messes up, like has too much downtime or tries to cheat by double signing a transaction, they can lose some of their staked Kava. That's called slashing.
Ah, penalty.
Yeah. It creates a strong economic incentive for validators to act honestly and keep their systems running reliably. Their own money is on the line.
That makes total sense. Aligning incentives. Okay, what about governance? How does holding Kava let people steer the ship, so to speak?
Governance is really core to Kava. If you hold Kava tokens, you get a say. You can propose changes and vote on critical decisions about how the network operates and where it's heading.
Like what kind of decisions?
All sorts. Which assets, or DApps, get official support? The rules for borrowing and lending protocols, like debt limits, collateral types, network fees, savings rates. Even how funds from the Treasury or the SU insurance fund are used for things like developer grants or incentive programs.
This has quite a broad scope of influence.
They're very broad. It's designed to be a distributed decision-making process, so the network evolves based on what its community actually wants and needs.
And the third role, incentives. How does Kava use its token to encourage growth and attract builders?
This is pretty strategic. A good chunk of the new Kava tokens created over time are specifically earmarked as incentives.
For who?
They get distributed to promising projects that are building on Kava, both on the Ethereum cochain and the Cosmos cochain. The goal is to attract talented teams, both established players and new innovators, get them building cool stuff on Kava.
Driving activity.
Exactly. Yeah. Fostering competition, making the whole ecosystem richer. And importantly, the sources mentioned that after the Kava 10 upgrade, how these incentives are handed out is increasingly tied to real results, like usage metrics, how much value is locked in a protocol, TVL, especially for the top Ethereum cochain projects.
So rewards go to projects that are actually gaining traction and bringing value.
Right. It's not just about showing up. It's about contributing actively to the network's success. It makes the incentive system more dynamic and results-oriented.
Okay, so we have security, governance, incentives, all tied to the KavaDAO. This all sounds very, well, decentralized. The documents mention the KavaDAO. What's that? How does it fit into this picture of decentralized control?
The KavaDAO is the decentralized autonomous organization. It's basically the formal structure for that governance we just talked about. Think of it as the collective body of everyone who stakes KavaDAO and all the validators running the network. They are the governing entity.
A DAO, okay. How does it work? Like, how do decisions actually get made?
It uses a model called liquid democracy. So if you hold Kava, you can vote directly on proposals yourself. Or, if you prefer, you can delegate your voting power to another Kava holder or validator you trust to vote on your behalf.
Interesting. So you can be passive or active? And what kind of things does the KavaDAO actually decide? What's under its control?
Pretty much everything about the network's function and future. Code changes, new features, upgrades, and crucially, how those developer incentives get split between the Ethereum side and the Cosmos side.
So it directs the resources.
Absolutely. And the key thing to remember here is that it's truly decentralized. There's no company headquarters, no CEO calling the shots. The network's direction is meant to be guided by the collected decisions of its stakeholders. The idea is to ensure it serves the users and builders best.
Right, a community-driven network. Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. Based on everything you've shared from the sources, what are the real standout features? What makes Kava, Kava in this busy layer one space?
I'd say the absolute key is that innovative co-chain architecture. That seamless link between the Ethereum and Cosmos worlds is its defining feature.
Interoperability.
Yes, seamless interoperability, which then enables optimized scalability, rapid growth fueled by those on-chain incentives, and that crucial developer flexibility, choose your chain, but access both.
And the token?
The Kava token ties it all together. Security through staking and slashing, decentralized governance via voting, and growth through strategic incentives, all managed under the umbrella of that KavaDAO.
So it really seems Kava is making a direct attempt to solve a big problem in blockchain, bridging these powerful but often separate ecosystems.
That's the core value proposition, yes. Connecting Ethereum's massive developer base and existing dApps with Cosmos's interoperability and scalability.
It definitely makes you think about what becomes possible when you remove those barriers. The potential for new kinds of decentralized apps, the impact on Web3 overall.
Absolutely. And that leads to the real question, maybe the final thought for you to consider. If developers truly have easy access to the best of both Ethereum and Cosmos, thanks to something like Kava's dual-chain approach, what entirely new things might they build? What possibilities open up that we haven't even conceived of yet?
That's a good question to ponder. A lot of potential there.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Hopefully this dive gave you a solid starting point to explore Kava further.